Do you see an incoming call and immediately feel your chest tighten? Do you let it ring, wait for the voicemail, then text back? Sorry, missed your call. What's up? You're not rude. You're not antisocial. Your brain just processes communication completely differently, and science finally figured out why. Picture this. Your phone rings. It's your friend. You like this friend. You genuinely want to talk to them. But the moment you see that call coming in, your brain goes into panic mode. I'm not ready. I don't know what they want. I need time to think. So you decline, and you text, "Hey, can't talk right now. Text me?" And suddenly you can breathe again. If this is you, welcome. You're about to understand why your brain treats phone calls like surprise attacks and texting like a safe conversation you can actually control. Here's what most people don't understand. Phone calls demand immediate response. No time to think, no time to edit, no time to prepare. You have to process what they're saying, formulate a response, and deliver it in real time while also managing tone, pace, and awkward silences. For some brains, that's multitasking hell. Texting, that's different. You read the message, you think, you type, you delete, you retype, you edit, you send when you're ready. It's communication with a pause button. And for people who prefer texting, that pause button isn't luxury, it's necessity. Psychologists call this asynchronous communication preference. Your brain works better when it has time to process information without the pressure of instant response. And there's actual neuroscience behind this. Dr. Susan Cain, author of Quiet: The Power of Introverts, explains that introverted brains have longer neural pathways. Information takes more time to process because it travels through more areas of the brain, especially areas tied to internal thought and reflection. So when someone calls you, your brain is trying to process their words, your response, their tone, background noise, and your own anxiety all at once. It's cognitive overload. But when you text, you remove half of that load. No tone to decode, no immediate response required, just words on a screen you can process at your own speed. Your brain finally gets the time it needs to think clearly. And here's something wild. Studies show that people who prefer texting often have higher social anxiety, but also higher emotional intelligence. They're not avoiding connection. They're avoiding the performance anxiety that comes with real-time conversation. Because let's be honest, phone calls feel like a performance. You have to sound interested, you have to fill the silence, you have to laugh at the right moments. You have to end the conversation without being rude. It's exhausting. Texting removes all of that. You can be authentic without the pressure of being on, but there's another layer to this: control. People who prefer texting often have a deep need for control over their environment and their interactions. Phone calls are unpredictable. You don't know how long they'll last. You don't know what they'll ask. You don't know if you'll say something stupid. But texting, you control the pace. You control the words. You control when you respond. And for anxious brains, that control is everything. Dr. Sherry Turkle, MIT professor and author of Reclaiming Conversation, found that people increasingly prefer texting because it offers connection without vulnerability. You can edit your emotions. You can hide your reactions. You can present the version of yourself you want them to see. Phone calls don't give you that option. Your voice betrays you. Your pauses reveal you. Your tone exposes you. And for people who struggle with vulnerability, texting is armor. Now here's where it gets interesting. Your preference for texting might also be linked to how your brain handles dopamine. Phone calls trigger your brain's threat detection system. The amygdala lights up, cortisol rises, your body goes into low-level fight or flight. But texting, that activates your brain's reward system. You get a notification, dopamine hits. You read the message, you craft a response, you send it. You wait for their reply. It's a controlled dopamine loop that feels safe. Researchers at the University of California found that texting activates the same reward pathways as social media. It's predictable. It's manageable. It's addictive in a way that feels good instead of stressful. But let's talk about the elephant in the room. Is preferring texting over calling actually healthy? Or are you just avoiding real connection? Here's the truth. It depends on why you prefer it. If you prefer texting because it reduces anxiety and helps you communicate more clearly, that's adaptive. You're using a tool that works for your brain. But if you prefer texting because you're terrified of real-time vulnerability, because you're hiding from genuine connection, because you can't handle the messiness of unscripted conversation, that might be avoidance. Dr. Brené Brown, researcher on vulnerability, says this: connection happens in the mess, in the pauses, in the imperfect moments, and phone calls force you into that mess. Texting lets you avoid it. So ask yourself, are you choosing texting because it works better for you? Or are you choosing it because you're scared of being truly seen? Because here's what happens when you only text. You miss the nuance. You miss the laughter. You miss the emotion in someone's voice when they tell you good news. You miss the silence that says more than words ever could. Texting is efficient, but it's not deep. And if you're only ever texting, you might be sacrificing depth for comfort. But here's the other side. Some people communicate better in writing. They're more thoughtful, more articulate, more honest. For them, texting isn't avoidance. It's their preferred language. And that's valid too. The key is balance. Can you text most of the time and still pick up the phone when it matters? Can you handle the discomfort of a call when someone needs to hear your voice? Because the healthiest communicators aren't the ones who always call or always text. They're the ones who can do both. And if you're someone who genuinely prefers texting, here's your permission slip. You're not broken. Your brain just works differently. You process language better when you can see it. You think more clearly when you have time. You communicate more authentically when you can edit. And in a world that's constantly demanding instant response, your preference for thoughtful communication might actually be a strength. But don't let it become a cage. Don't let your comfort zone shrink so small that you can't handle a phone call without panic. Because real connection, the kind that changes you, often happens in the unscripted moment. In the phone calls you didn't plan, in the conversations that go longer than expected, in the vulnerability you can't edit away. So, text when it serves you, but call when it matters. Because the people who love you don't just want your words, they want your voice, your laughter, your pauses, your humanity. You're not antisocial, you're not rude, you're just wired for a different kind of connection. And that's okay, as long as you're still connecting. If you're team texting, drop a comment. Let's find our people. And if this video explains something you've never been able to put into words, hit subscribe. The next video breaks down why some people hate small talk, and it's going to feel uncomfortably accurate.